Welcome into another Hawkeye Sports Report, Week 5 edition. We're going to break down some football to start off our show. As always, Rob Brooks here to help us break down some Iowa football. Rob, a ton of highlights from this last weekend's game. Where do we start? I mean, there was a lot of things that jumped out. What jumped out to you?
You were pretty busy on the sideline last
Video
Saturday.
guy's dream.
That was fun.
Yeah.
And that was a fun game for the Hawkeyes. And boy, any time that you can score 31 points, not coming from the offense, you got a good chance of some good things happening. And that's exactly what the Hawkeyes did last Saturday. The thing that really struck me was just the tempo in which Iowa played with, especially early on. You go back to the opening kickoff, Marcus Collins knifes his way in there, makes a big play. He's hustling off the field, and you just got the sense that this was going to be a good day for the Hawkeyes. Tanner Miller makes an incredibly tough hit in the ball game, and I just go back to the big plays that especially the Hawkeye defense has been making all season long, and that to me has really stuck out here in the first 4 games. Tanner Miller, B.J. Lowry, Kirksey in that opening game. Cavante Martin-Manley doing the job offensively and also with special teams. Jake Hillier has done a terrific job, I think, the last 2 weeks. And boy, how about B.J. Lowry? He learned a lot from Micah Hyde, hasn't he? And taking those two to the house, he was smiling from ear to ear last weekend.
I tell you what, Micah's name came up on the sidelines with BJ and on the punt returns too. They were saying that's something Micah never did, Cavante. But it was good to see Cavante do that, something that we may never see happen again. But with the big lead came a lot of rest for some guys. Should the team be a little more fresh this weekend?
I think so. I think a lot has been made of Mark Weissman and his carries and how many is he going to be able to withstand throughout the Big Ten part of the schedule. Well, he only got 10 carries last weekend, so he's got to be fresh. Saw some new faces, and I think that's one thing the fans really enjoy, especially in the second half of these types of games, is the fact that you get to see a lot of the young guys. Reggie Spearman gets in there as a true freshman, and see some of the faces that may help the Hawkeyes later on this year, and then also a peek into the future.
Now we got the game up in Minneapolis this weekend. Always a series that's pretty tight, and it's probably going to be no different this weekend.
That's what you would expect. I think 2 evenly matched teams opening the Big Ten part of the schedule. Up there, it's always close. Iowa's really dominated down here in Iowa City, but you remember last year the Hawkeyes led 24-0 at the half, outgained Minnesota 308-75, but it's been a different story at TCF Bank Stadium. The last 2 games, Iowa's only 2 games at that particular venue, a 3-point loss and a heartbreaking 1-point loss. So hopefully the Hawkeyes can turn the tide and make it more like what happened up there in 08 when the Hawkeyes won 55-0. But
right.
This is a good Minnesota team. They're much stronger on the offensive and defensive lines than they have been in the past.
Well, let's talk about Minnesota a little bit in depth here. Offensively, they love to run the ball. I think they had something around 8 pass attempts though last weekend. What will the Iowa team be seeing offensively from the Gophers?
Well, it's going to be a little old school football, I think, on both sides of the ball, because Jerry Kill, that's what he wants to do. Obviously establish the run as the Hawkeyes do, and then pass off of play action to move the ball down the field. So I think you're going to see 2 teams that will try to establish that way, and Minnesota's done a good job so far this year. They rank 3rd in the Big Ten with 282 yards rushing per contest. That's 5.7 yards per carry, while Iowa is averaging 244 yards per outing. But Iowa has shown the ability to throw the football as well. I'm not sure Minnesota has.
Like the Iowa State game a few weeks ago, this game has multiple meanings. Huge rivalry, and really can shape how the rest of your season can go. Do you see that?
I do. It's always tough to start league play on the road. Iowa seems to do that just about every single year. You start with a rivalry game, and then I think both teams really find out a little bit more about themselves. I mean, Minnesota really has not been tested at all. They have won at least every single game by 17 points, and this is going to be their biggest test. I think this is probably the best team that Iowa has faced, so something's got to give, but I think this is a lineman's dream type of game, whether you're on the offensive side or the defensive side of the football, with both teams wanting to run the ball.
Well, ready or not, Big Ten season is among us, and we'll see how it all shapes out this weekend in Minneapolis.
Ought to be a lot of fun. Love the Big Ten campaign.
Absolutely. Rob, thanks again for stopping by as always, and we'll see you in Minneapolis.
Look forward to it.
Iowa will kick off with the Gophers at 2:30 p.m. on Saturday. The game can be seen on either ESPN2 or ABC. Back with more Hawkeye Sports Report right after this.
First half. See what happens.
Hey Hawkeye fans, don't miss the action on Mediacom Court at Carver Hawkeye Arena this fall with an exciting season of Iowa Hawkeye Volleyball. For only $30, you get 2 season tickets, 2 Iowa Volleyball t-shirts, weekly emails, and much more. Seniors Nikki Daly, Rachel Bedell, and Bethany Yeager want to see you at Carver Hawkeye Arena this season. To order, call 1-800-IA-HAWKS or visit HawkeyeSports.com. We'll see you at Carver Hawkeye Arena this fall. Go Hawks!
Welcome back into the Hawkeye Sports Report. The Iowa field hockey team played 2 in Kent, Ohio over the weekend. Saturday, a Danny Hemion goal was not enough as the then 10th-ranked Hawkeyes fell to the Drexel Dragons 2-1. Sunday, however, was a much different story. Iowa pours in 6 goals en route to a 6-zip shutout of the Kent State Golden Flashes. Kelsey Mitchell scores twice and Natalie Cafone scores 3 goals. The 3 goals by Cafone earns her Big Ten Offensive Player of the Week honors. Just 1 game on the slate this weekend for the Hawks, a Friday afternoon matinee at nationally ranked Northwestern. You can check it out live on the Big Ten Network at 2 p.m. On the soccer pitch on Sunday, Iowa with an opportunity to knock off 15th-ranked Michigan. Iowa ties up the game on Bree Tell's 69th minute goal right here, but Michigan answers less than a minute later and holds on to win 2-1. Iowa actually outshoots Michigan 12-7 in the contest. This weekend, the Iowa soccer team is on the road for a Friday evening contest at Illinois and a Sunday afternoon contest on the lakefront in Evanston. The volleyball team hosting 25th-ranked Iowa State Saturday at Carver Hawkeye Arena. A crowd of nearly 2,500 turns out for this one, the 3rd largest volleyball crowd in school history. Iowa drops set 1 25-11, but turns things around in set 2. The Hawkeyes take it 29-27. The Cyclones take a close set 3 25-23, and Iowa State never trails in the 4th, winning 25-20 and taking the match 3 games to 1. Alex Lovell leads Iowa with 17 kills.
Obviously, knowing we're going to have a nice crowd, we're playing Iowa State, our new floor, it's the first time to get to play on the new floor. I mean, everything, our football team won 59-3. Everybody's all jacked up after stuff like that, and I think we just got ourselves so excited about everything that was going on. That we didn't know how to use that to our advantage. I don't know that we were overmatched as much as we couldn't even breathe. We had blue lips because we were so excited. And at the same time, tight. It's a tough way to be. So. It wasn't the start I expected to get. I'm really proud of the team and the way that they came back and really just settled into playing much better volleyball, obviously.
The Hawks are 9-3 heading into the always tough Big Ten season. Friday, Iowa is at the Fighting Illini, and Saturday, a contest at Northwestern awaits the Hawkeyes. In tennis news, the men's team traveled to Purdue over the weekend, and the women's team was at the Gopher Invitational. Iowa's top doubles team of Ruth Seaborn and Maureen McCullough took 2nd place. Up next, the 28th-ranked duo compete in the ITA All-American Championships. That will be in Pacific Palisades, California this weekend. The men's golf team competed at the Northwestern's Wyndon Memorial Tournament in Lake Forest, Illinois. Iowa finishes 9th as Stephen Ime leads the Hawkeyes, shooting 2 under par, tying for 8th place. The women's golf team, they had the weekend off, and they will travel to Austin, Texas, Monday and Tuesday. Also taking last weekend off are the men's and women's cross-country teams. They are in Minneapolis Saturday for the Roy Griak Invitational. Griak coached the Gopher cross-country and track teams for 33 years. He is now in his 50th year with the Gopher programs.
I think the celebration of Roy Griak's 50 years at the University of Minnesota brings back memories for me. My junior year as a student athlete at the University of Iowa, we won the Big Ten track championship right here in Iowa City. And then the following year, my senior year, we go up to Minneapolis, to Minnesota, to the old cinder track inside the football stadium, and the young Roy Griak wins at home. The Minnesota Gophers win the championship, and that was my final year. So those memories stick with me, of those championships for the both of us, but then also I think the friendship and the relationship that continues all these years later to this day.
Not many events in Iowa City this week. However, the fall softball season gets underway with the All-Iowa Classic at Pearl Field. Iowa plays 4 games, Saturday and Sunday.
We've been on the field for about a week and a half, so it's still fresh with everyone being on the field, with the newcomers coming in and our returners. But we're excited. We're excited to have the All-Iowa tournament this weekend. We've got Iowa State, Drake, UNI, and Upper Iowa joining us, and it should be a great 2 days of softball. I think the biggest thing is getting some versatility. We've got smaller numbers than we've had previous years, and part of that is so we can have people at multiple positions. If you're swinging a hot bat, we want to get you in a lineup, so is there 1 or 2 positions defensively you can play? Also, in the circle, the pitchers. We've got 2 veterans, 1 newcomer that actually spent a year redshirting to learn the system, and I'm anxious to see what they do in the circle. And we really have a huge group of returners that I think are going to be the core and really take this team to postseason. I think it was a challenging summer for them, but the best thing I've seen since they've come back is they don't want to talk about it, they just want to get after it, get to work. And talk's cheap, and they've learned that, and they know that, and they just want to put it on the field and show and prove to others that they deserve that opportunity. I'm very excited. I think the biggest thing right now is we have better team chemistry in September than we have in the last 3 years we've been here, and that's exciting for a coach, because if you can build that team chemistry, the softball plays out. You have your team that has your back. I've got your back, you've got mine. The rest of it's going to play out, and they work hard every day, and because of that hard work, it will pay off in the long run. I'd like to get some people out to the ballpark this weekend, so we've got an opportunity to support the local Hawkeyes, and I think it's going to be a great event.
You can see Iowa's full weekend schedule there on your screen. Be sure to get out to Pearl Field and watch the Hawks this weekend. When we return on the Hawkeye Sports Report, it's all about the water. The rowing team and the swimming and diving teams are in and on the H2O this weekend.
Tradition.
Ambition.
Exploration. Inspiration.
You feel it when you step on campus at the University of Iowa.
The energy and pride of students inspired by our history.
And excited about our future. When you join the Hawkeye family, you're a part of it all.
Be a part of it.
Be a part of it.
Be a part of it. Be a Hawkeye.
Back once again to the HSR, the Iowa rowing team is under new leadership this year. Andrew Carter comes to the Hawkeye State after serving as Miami of Florida's head coach for the last 4 seasons.
To be redundant, that's my goal and my philosophy, is for me as a coach to be redundant, that when we get to competition day, these students are so well prepared that they don't need me. And if I've done that, then I think I've done my job, and they're going to be that much better prepared at the start line than their competitors. If I do my job right, I think that they should expect to see very technically sound rowing, very high level of boat moving ability and boat moving skills, and a deep understanding from our students about what they're doing. And then I think that, what we should expect of all of our teams here, and I'm sure we do, is that these women represent the university in absolutely first-class fashion on and off the water. They should be ambassadors of this department, they should be ambassadors of our sport, they should be ambassadors of the university and in the community. I think the technical aspects of the sport, it can be dead simple, our sport, but it can be incredibly complex if you want to zoom in on it. There's a lot of interaction between equipment and the human body. It's a complex physiological sport, so the physical preparation that the students go through is very, very interesting, and you can get into quite a bit of detail. So the technical aspects of the sport and teaching that to people, rather than having an environment where students just, I make a suggestion and then they do that because I'm the coach and I made the suggestion, but instead to teach them so that they don't need me later on, that they can find the answer, or at least if they don't know the answer right off, they know the path to find it. I think for the team to progress even further than it has already, I really need to understand them at a deep level, and they need to understand me. So I think getting to know the team is going to be critical in the coming year. And I think if we do a good job of that on both sides, from the coaches, the new coaches that are coming in, and the students being open-minded and open hearts with new ideas, I think that we can start talking about competitive benchmarks at that point. And I think the key is going to be getting to know them. Long-term goals, like any coach would answer the same way, I think, is to be consistently relevant on the national stage. And that's going to start with being consistently relevant in the Big Ten. If you can compete at the top of the Big Ten, you can compete at the top of the NCAA. That's true of any of the major rowing conferences, whether it's the Pac-12 or the ACC or the Ivy League. It's true. And just looking at the NCAA championship final, you'll see that all those conferences were represented. So I think getting in the top echelon of the Big Ten and staying there. I think limitless possibilities. There's no question that the university and the athletic department has gotten in behind the rowing program here. The resourcing that's available is second to none. And I think that I have no sense at this time that there is a ceiling for the program. So that's really exciting, I think. I've had an opportunity to meet some of the women on the team, and they have that same kind of look in their eye that they think that there's a lot that there's left for them to do. So I think just limitless possibility.
The Iowa rowing team starts the season Saturday at the head of Des Moines over in our state's capital city. The swimming and diving teams are getting an early start this year. Iowa swims against Michigan Friday afternoon and then also participates in the Michigan Water Carnival on Saturday. Here's more with head coach Mark Long.
This group worked really hard in the off season. We've got a big group of freshmen on the men, a little bit smaller on the women, but all very dedicated, very driven. And yeah, we're excited to see them race. I think on the women's side, Lindsay Seaman and Becky Stoughton, of course, are two of our top scorers. We also have a few others on the women, Emily Hovren. On the men's side, there's a whole host of people we think are just ready to break through. That's in addition to some of our top scorers like Grant Petulius, Tyler Lentz, Dustin Rhodes. And when I start listing these names, I know I'm going to leave people off because we're fortunate to have a lot of people that have some potential to score some big points at NCAAs, as well as Big Tens. Again, this is very early. We want, I think a typical dual meet kickoff would be second, third week of October, and we're doing it here the last weekend of September. And we did that to face the national champions. We think that's great for our program, and then also to get in the facility where the men's Big Tens are. But in addition, we've added on the men and the women an extremely challenging dual meet schedule. There's a lot of top 10 teams, and that's all in preparation for February and March when our championship season is. So it's really a long process, but to be talking in September here for things that we think will happen in February and March, it's just all part of the preparation. In addition, diving is really clipping along. We've got a lot of new faces over in the diving well, but there's a lot of development happening, but again, we're a long way off from our championship season.
That's all for this week's Hawkeye Sports Report. We leave you with a scene from last year's Iowa-Minnesota football game and a reminder of what's on the line again this weekend. Sure smells like bacon to me. Visit HawkeyeSports.com for all of your Hawkeye highlights and news. Have a great week.